Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened his cabinet for its weekly meeting in Jerusalem, where he made a firm and unambiguous statement regarding his government's position on the creation of a Palestinian state. Netanyahu reiterated Israel's long-standing opposition to the establishment of a Palestinian state in any area west of the Jordan River. His comments come at a pivotal moment as the international community continues to scrutinize Israel's policies, particularly in relation to the ongoing conflict with Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu's remarks, which were broadcast to the media, have sparked renewed discussions about Israel's position on peace negotiations and the broader political landscape in the region. His statement comes ahead of an important vote at the United Nations Security Council, where a resolution will be considered that supports a US-backed peace plan for Gaza. This resolution has been presented as a framework for resolving the current crisis in Gaza and laying the foundation for future peace in the region. However, Netanyahu's remarks signal that Israel may not support key aspects of the plan. Our opposition to a Palestinian state in any area west of the Jordan, that opposition exists and is strong and has not changed in the slightest. I have been repelling these attempts for decades and have been doing so in the face of both external and internal pressures. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister. Netanyahu's comments are consistent with his previous statements on the issue, which have highlighted Israel's belief that a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza would not bring peace to the region, but rather would exacerbate security concerns. Over the years, Israel has maintained that it has the right to security and that any territorial compromise could jeopardize its safety. Netanyahu has repeatedly emphasized that Israel's security concerns must be addressed before any peace deal can be reached. The Prime Minister's stance has been a key part of his political narrative for years, one that has resonated with many Israelis who fear that concessions to the Palestinians could lead to increased instability and even violence. Netanyahu has faced considerable pressure from both within Israel and from the international community to negotiate a peace agreement with the Palestinians, but he has remained steadfast in his belief that the creation of a Palestinian state is not a viable solution under the current circumstances. The timing of Netanyahu's remarks is especially significant as they come just days before the UN Security Council is set to vote on a resolution that seeks to lay the groundwork for a potential peace agreement for Gaza. The US-backed peace plan, which has been supported by a number of Western powers, calls for a series of steps designed to end the violence in Gaza and bring about a lasting resolution to the conflict. These steps include a ceasefire, humanitarian assistance and the disarmament of militant groups like Hamas. Netanyahu's comments directly address one of the central issues of the peace plan, the disarmament of Hamas. Hamas, which has controlled the Gaza Strip since 2007, is considered a terrorist organization by Israel, the United States and several other countries. Israel's position has been clear: Hamas must be disarmed before any peace talks can proceed. The Israeli government has repeatedly stated that it will not accept any peace plan that allows Hamas to maintain its military capabilities in Gaza. There will be no such thing as the alleged non-demilitarization of the part of Gaza that is in Hamas's hands. Even in the 20-point plan and in everything else, this area will be demilitarized and Hamas will disarm. It will either happen the easy way or it will happen the hard way. That's what I said. And that's also what President Trump said. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister. Netanyahu's strong words regarding Hamas's disarmament reflect the Israeli government's commitment to ensuring that Gaza is completely demilitarized as part of any peace agreement. This position is not new. Over the years, Israel has consistently maintained that a peace deal must include the complete disarmament of Hamas and other militant groups in Gaza. Netanyahu's reference to President Donald Trump's similar stance on the issue underscores the continuity of Israeli policy, even as leadership changes in the US and Israel. The Prime Minister's comments come amid growing international calls for a resolution to the Gaza conflict. The United States and other Western nations have been pushing for a peace agreement that would bring an end to the violence, but Netanyahu's resistance to a Palestinian state and his demands for Hamas to be disarmed have complicated the diplomatic landscape. The ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza has intensified calls for action, and the UN resolution is seen by many as an important step in addressing the situation. While Netanyahu has emphasized Israel's right to security, critics argue that his opposition to a Palestinian state and his insistence on Hamas's disarmament may hinder the prospects for a lasting peace agreement. Palestinian leaders have long argued that the establishment of a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza is the only path to peace. They contend that the failure to create such a state has perpetuated the cycle of violence and instability in the region. In the past, the international community has sought to mediate a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with the aim of establishing a Palestinian state alongside Israel. However, Netanyahu's government has consistently rejected this solution, citing security concerns and the need for guarantees that a Palestinian state would not become a base for further attacks on Israel. The upcoming UN vote is expected to be a critical moment in the ongoing international effort to address the Gaza crisis. The resolution, which is backed by the United States, aims to establish a framework for peace that would include a ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and a roadmap for future negotiations. However, Israel's opposition to key aspects of the plan, particularly the idea of a Palestinian state, is likely to be a significant hurdle in the negotiations. Despite the international pressure, Netanyahu has remained resolute in his position. His government has long maintained that any peace agreement must prioritize Israeli security and that Hamas must be disarmed as part of any resolution to the Gaza conflict. Netanyahu's comments reflect his belief that Israel's security concerns cannot be compromised and that any solution to the Gaza crisis must address the threat posed by Hamas and other militant groups in the region. The Israeli government's position on Gaza has been a point of contention in international diplomacy for years. While Israel has received significant support from the United States and other Western nations, it has faced increasing criticism from Palestinian leaders, Arab nations, and many members of the international community. The situation in Gaza remains one of the most pressing humanitarian crises in the world, and efforts to resolve the conflict have been complicated by deep political divisions. As the situation continues to evolve, the international community is likely to continue pushing for a resolution that addresses the humanitarian needs of the people of Gaza while also addressing Israel's security concerns. However, with Netanyahu's repeated statements opposing a Palestinian state and insisting on Hamas's disarmament, it remains unclear whether a breakthrough in the peace process is achievable in the near future. The UN Security Council's vote on the US-backed resolution is expected to take place soon, and it will be a pivotal moment in the ongoing diplomatic efforts to resolve the Gaza crisis. The outcome of the vote will likely shape the direction of future negotiations and determine the extent to which international pressure can influence Israel's position. For now, Netanyahu's government remains steadfast in its opposition to a Palestinian state and its demand for the disarmament of Hamas. These positions are likely to continue to shape Israeli policy as the Gaza conflict moves forward, and they will undoubtedly remain central to any future discussions about peace in the region. The situation in Gaza remains tense, with diplomatic and military developments continuing to unfold. The international community continues to seek a lasting resolution to the conflict, but significant challenges remain. As of now, Netanyahu's government holds firm on its positions, and it is unclear whether a peaceful resolution is within reach.